This week has been the bloodiest in Iraq for months. At least 76 people have been killed and 200 wounded in a series of attacks in mainly Shia neighborhoods in Baghdad. The blast came just 2 days after Al-Qaeda militants took a Christian congregation hostage, leaving 58 dead. With a total US pullout scheduled for the end of next year, many Iraqis say they feel abandoned amid escalating violence, but some are losing more than protection. A Sunni armed group, praised by the US for its help providing security, is now falling back into the hands of local warlords and Al-Qaeda. RT's Paula Sleer reports.
There is still a force to be reckoned with, tens of thousands of Sunni Muslims angry at the Shiite Iraqi government. Known as the Sons of Iraq, 4 years ago they were won over by American dollars to fight Al-Qaeda. One of their strengths, they live in the neighborhoods in which they keep watch.
We did a great service to Iraq. Some of our members were working with the terrorists before they joined us, and they gave us information about the armed groups.
But despite attempts by the Iraqi government to disarm them, in communities like this, they continue to patrol the streets because, they insist, Iraqi soldiers just can't keep the peace.
Security forces sometimes just turn a blind eye to what's going on. There's lots of human rights violations and there aren't enough human rights organisations to defend and protect people.
But are these paramilitary groups upholding the rule of law? Or are some of their activities questionable, as suggested in the 400,000 Iraq documents released by WikiLeaks? In one account, a Sons of Iraq leader is said to be responsible for the murder of innocent civilians, conducting insurgent activities under the guise of a Sons of Iraq leader, extortion and rape.
Everything has a positive and a negative. Some leaders used their position for settling tribal scores, stockpiling weapons, making money and killing innocent civilians. But the majority brought stability.
But that majority also feels abandoned by an America which armed, trained and paid them. And despite big promises, less than half of the 90,000-strong force has been given work or absorbed into Iraqi security forces. This man is one of the few who has, but he's afraid to reveal his identity.
After the Americans were finished with these groups, after Iraq was secure, they no longer supported us, especially when the Iraqi government charged our leaders with crimes. A lot of the leaders have lost trust in the American and Iraqi governments and are afraid that, by working for them, they might face charges and/or assassination.
Iraqi security officials say hundreds of Sons of Iraq members have returned to Al-Qaeda, and that many of the thousands now on the Iraqi government payroll secretly aid the insurgency. For observers like Hamid Fadil, Iraqi security forces are running a losing race to keep up to speed to either integrate the groups or to be able to secure Iraq without them.
The training given by the US was not complete, and it never will be, because America wants Iraqis to keep needing them. They don't want Iraq to build a strong army, and that way they can justify staying in the country and making sure Iraq is never strong enough to control the region.
In army bases like this, Iraqi federal police are trained in intelligence.
Tactical site exploitation, medical, anything like that. They do patrols, counter IEDs.
But for many Iraqis, what the Americans left behind was destruction and devastation. It will take a lot for them to rebuild the ruins of their lives. Armed and dangerous, these paramilitary groups struggle to find a place for themselves, leading some observers to warn that while they might have been used for short-term military gains, in the end they could be the roadblocks to peace. Paula Sleer, RT.